Hello, world! This is Chris Pirillo sitting here, but I am not really a part of the VeriCoin crew. They are joining me, or at least a set of the VeriCoiners. Do you guys have like a name or a label that you go by? VeriCoin gang?
VeriCoin core developers.
The core developers. Well, okay, fine. If you want to get technical about it, I suppose we can. Core developers.
Also known as the super awesome VeriCoin Club.
That I like. That, see, to me that is
Or we could just say like Vera people now.
Vera people.
Can we be Vera connoisseurs?
Oh, nice.
That works as well. So we did a VeriCoin hangout last month, and I really enjoyed the time that I spent. I think it was about an hour long or so, not just fielding questions about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in general, but specifically what VeriCoin was doing differently in this array of options that anybody might have with cryptocurrency. And so Patrick said, "Hey, you want to hang out again?" I'm like, "Yeah, let's do it." Bam! We set up a time. Boom. Granted, I only sent him. Unfortunately, I sent him the invitation for the hangout like minutes before we went live because I was trapped on another call. That wasn't my fault. I swear to God, it wasn't my fault. It's just the way that Google sometimes doesn't make things as easy as they could be. So that being said, VeriCoin has made and continues to make the world of cryptocurrency about as easy as I think it could be if you're not into Bitcoin specifically. You're into altcoins or alternative cryptocurrencies. One of the things that I guess is really kind of interesting from my perspective about what VeriCoin is doing differently is specifically that they're willing to put their names and their faces out there instead of this strange world of who am I trusting with this value that I might be building in one way, shape, or form. So it's good to have everybody back. We've got David, who's also in Seattle, and I believe Doug, who is without lamp this time around. Kind of missed that lamp, and then of course Patrick. So I don't necessarily have an agenda for how this hour or so broadcast is necessarily going to play out. But if you guys want to briefly introduce yourselves again, feel free to. This would be I want to call you guys the VeriCoiners, but I guess that would be the general community. But you're the core developers, as Patrick put a very geeky finer point on. You'd be great at Microsoft, naming things very accurately. You are the core developers.
Is that true, Dave? Would I be good at Microsoft?
Sure.
No, I'm just saying, like, Microsoft names things what they are. Like, that's exactly. Oh, I know exactly what it is because that's what it's called. You don't have to guess.
Core Developers 8.1, now with Start Menu support.
Yeah, kind of ish. I think that's coming. I don't want to go into Windows because we'll be here all night and all that stuff. So Patrick, unless you have a solid place you wanted to start, I think to me the biggest thing, at least that came across my radar, if I had a VeriCoin / Bitcoin radar over the past month, was specifically I don't know if I would call it a hack or just an exploit that seemingly compromised VeriCoin that you, as a core development team, addressed probably more effectively than I would have expected you to address. So I don't know if you can explain that situation a bit more. If only as it was explained to me. I think I understand it, but you would definitely have a better handle on it than I would.
All right, so I think I was the first one to find out about it. So I guess as some background, I'll talk a little bit about how these cryptocurrencies work. So essentially, there's this element, the core element called the blockchain, and that's a transaction ledger that's stored and that has a record of every person's account and balances and transactions. And it's something that starts out the first coin that's minted. So like Bitcoin, for example, after coin 1, it essentially has started from there. And in Bitcoin, there have been 2 examples of times where they've had to have something called a hard fork, which is where they basically force everyone onto one chain if the chain splits. And the first time this happened was when someone figured out how to basically grant themselves billions of bitcoins for free. So they basically went back in the blockchain several hours and sort of fix that problem. The other example is when they issued a new client and some of the old clients didn't accept it and people didn't upgrade in time. They basically had to choose, okay, we can go with the new client's fork or the old client's fork, and they went with the old client's fork. So there's two examples in Bitcoin where they had to sort of go backwards in time a little bit. So we got contacted by MintPal a few weeks ago.
And MintPal is it an exchange?
Yeah, MintPal is an exchange where you can convert Bitcoin to several other cryptocurrencies. So Litecoin, for example, Blackcoin, VeriCoin, etc. So many coins you can convert from Bitcoin to an altcoin and back, and you can sort of trade it kind of like a stock market. But it turns out that VeriCoin, there's 26.8 million of them today, and 8 million of them were on MintPal, and 8 million of them got hacked and sent to an address that MintPal didn't control. And basically, we were given this information. We had to sort of figure out, well, we can try to figure out how to block these coins that were stolen from doing anything, or we could try to go backwards and recover them. And the reason that it's important that we made sure that this one person who stole them didn't have control of the coins is because of the way VeriCoin works. And if you control 51% of the coins that are currently sort of sitting on the network, not total coins, but coins that are staking, so like they're like signed into the network and making new blocks. If you control over 51% of them, you can essentially give yourself free money. So we didn't like that, and we knew it would crush VeriCoin. It would make it essentially worth nothing, because this one person would eternally have control over granting themselves free transactions. So we took sort of a note out of Bitcoin's book, and we basically went back to immediately before the event happened, and convinced everyone and all the exchanges to roll back to that point of time. Although to be fair, everyone technically had an option to not do that. However, it's our feeling that the coin would have been dead then. So we rolled back to right before the hack, and I guess the product of the decision was that everyone keeps their coin that they had, and a few people who had sent coins between when the hack happened and when we did this fork, unfortunately they lost some. One party got their coins that they sent back, and one party didn't get the coins they were supposed to be sent. But MintPal volunteered to reimburse for those transactions. So for the most part, there were probably a few transactions that weren't reimbursed or something, but for the most part, people ended up ended up with the coins that they had just before the hack. And we're happy that we did this. We took a lot of flack from other coins and from people that.
Whoa! Hang on. You took flack for not just fixing, it wasn't your screw up that you fixed. How can you take flack for that?
So their argument is this blockchain gets started from the moment the coin starts, and that it's sort of up to the gods to maintain civility if something like this happens. And
Wait, what did the people think was going to happen? You've got to compromise, and the future of the value of what you're building was at stake. What did they expect you to do? I'm not Patrick, I swear to God, and everyone got to understand. I seriously, this to me sounds asinine. Like the way I read it, the way I saw it, I'm like, well, that's the only way you could respond. You basically saved everybody's bacon.
Yeah, I mean, basically, if we didn't do it, the coin wouldn't have died.
That's what I'm saying. So what the?
Essentially, I mean, often the critics are people who don't own VeriCoin and are looking for some way to say that we made some sort of selfish move. You know what I mean? So basically,
hang on. I'm playing devil's advocate here, Doug. You made a selfish. Let me get it straight. You made a selfish move by saving everybody's value in VeriCoin. I just want to get this straight. Did I get that right? You're selfish because you saved everybody else's bacon. Got it. When it wasn't your screw up in the first place. Got it. I understand this. These are the people who vote? These are the intelligent people who are on this planet? Really? Sorry. I realize I got no horse in this race, really, other than I got VeriCoin. But I'm just saying, that just doesn't make any sense to me. That does not add up. You guys absolutely made the right decision.
Thanks.
Sorry, Doug. I did not mean to trample you. Go ahead.
No, I think I think it was a situation where the security of the blockchain was at risk. If it was a smaller amount of coins, then it wouldn't have been something that we would have wanted to do or did, because we would be essentially changing the transaction list. But when the complete coin is at risk, we essentially have no choice.
Well, but to me, I agree. I mean, honestly, like, if you would have said, "Oh, that's we give up," because I didn't know that you could even do such a thing. I mean, it's great to know, because that actually, believe it or not, that actually makes me feel better or more confident in the direction you're going with things. Because imagine, I had stockpiled and put a lot of my own cash or value into VeriCoin, and suddenly all that had just been gone because of one nefarious user, and inevitably it always boils down to one bad person, right? That's the security model. It's one bad person. You're only as strong as your weakest link. And people are inevitably, 9 times out of 10, and Douglas, I wouldn't need to tell you this because you're far more sciencey than I am, but the idea that you could effectively ruin it for the rest of everybody else by being that person, the fact that you stopped it and you I don't want to say cut the losses, or you basically ripped off the Band-Aid. Yes, it was painful for a second, but I think that you gave VeriCoin a chance to heal, and you also, more than anything, I think you showed the world what the VeriCoin's character is.
Yeah, I think so, and I think honestly, I think on the to the point you were talking about before, where people stay anonymous that do coin development a lot of times. So the creator of Bitcoin is anonymous. And my personal opinion, because no one really knows, but my belief is that the reason Satoshi Nakamoto is anonymous is not necessarily because he wanted to be anonymous, he or she or they wanted to be anonymous, but because he prized more than anything bringing as pure a product of decentralized control as possible. And the best way to do that is for the first implementation of this to not have a centralized face. So that if Bitcoin, now that Bitcoin is becoming much more widely adopted, if it becomes a political debate, there's not this one person that they can say, oh, this guy created it, and in 5th grade he threw a pencil at his teacher, or whatever,
right.
The political world would manifest as an attack. So I think my belief is that's the primary reason why he's anonymous. The problem is, what ends up happening is a lot of people following in his footsteps in a way are also being anonymous, but that also creates an environment where they can be tempted. If you're an anonymous developer and you can potentially have control of the blockchain in some way, like we showed in this extreme scenario that we had to do this to rescue the coin. But if you're anonymous, you basically have no accountability for you taking too much authority over the coin. And a lot of times that's what happens. People are not sure about they're not completely confident that their motives are pure, and then they go into a situation, they stay anonymous, and then something happens, and they basically make away with coin, or they dump coins, or they can do whatever they want, or something like this could have happened, and they could have made some sort of weird backroom deal, and just walked, or any number of things. So I think.
Sorry,
yeah,
Doug.
So
I think
that's my opinion on this.
Well, but I think it's. I also want to be clear, and I'm not speaking for you or VeriCoin at all. But I think there's a value in anonymity. There is a value, and I don't think you're saying that there isn't.
Right.
But in terms of what's the saying? Power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. When there's a lot at stake, and you don't know the circumstances of any individual on this planet and their motivations. I kind of want to separate the value of anonymity from the idea of cryptocurrency, but also to further the I think VeriCoin's position in the fact that you're putting your names out there, your reputations, which I think are far more valuable than your names, and then of course the future of VeriCoin in general, which I know we're playing with a lot of different concepts here, but I think I wanted to clarify that we're not slagging anonymity in general.
No.
It's just that when it comes time to who do we blame for this? Who do we point the fingers at? Who we don't know. We know they didn't put their face out there for one reason or another.
Right. Yeah, I think yeah, there's definitely a value to anonymity. But I think in the case of cryptocurrency, it's been misused and abused.
Well, but
in some cases.
Exactly, and I think if there's any FUD that's circulating in relation to cryptocurrencies, not just the word crypto, which kind of has people freaked out. I only know crypto. That sounds strange. What is it? I'll give you some context. The only time I ever heard the word crypto was specifically in relation to cryptozoology, which is more like Bigfoot and chupacabras and that mythology, right? So it was never in cryptocurrency, but it was just always this that bizarre, like, woo, strange, scary.
Yeah,
we don't know what's going on. So the fact that you can kind of put a friendly face, without necessarily a face, to the world of crypto, I think that it's a key differentiator, but it speaks to, I think, a pain point that may very well hinder that adoption of altcoin, Bitcoin, on down the line. Whether we're talking about one blockchain or another, it's not something that I think modern society fully understands how current accepted currencies work. But you take one level deeper, and you tune into the latest movie or TV show, and you watch how someone sits behind a screen and goes, I just, made everybody at Starbucks get a frappuccino, ha ha ha, like, because they're masters of computers, right? The word crypto just, surfaces this idea that
crypts and like dead zombies or something,
right.
All those things, and it refers to just cryptography, which is actually a method of encrypting data that's used by credit cards and everything. So in a way, the cryptocurrency name is kind of inappropriate, but for whatever reason it's stuck. But yeah, it doesn't mean dead zombies. It just means cryptography.
I would hope so. If zombies were involved, as long as I don't get bitten, I'm good to go. So a couple of points here made in the comments during this live stream here. Jason Disbrow wanted me to stress, and I thought I did mention it, but I will stress this. It wasn't VeriCoin that was compromised, but MintPal, the exchange. Now, someone else had mentioned, and I'm sorry, the name has since scrolled off, but William followed up with this. How would they eat it when the coin would have been dead and the exchange couldn't pay the total market cap anyway? Someone was mentioning that MintPal should have fixed the problem, not VeriCoin. So would you be able to address that? Someone?
MintPal wouldn't have. The only thing they could do was essentially go deep into the red and try and struggle to handle the situation. There's really nothing they could do. There is no way to pull the coins back in a blockchain format. So they couldn't have done anything. They would have basically just they could have tried to track down the hacker or something, but
but at what point you spend so much resources? It's a what do they call it? A chase. It's like you're never going to get there.
Yeah, and the situation was unique because we're a new coin, so we're only a couple months old. So the people that are using VeriCoin are kind of at this point a consolidated group that's growing, but they tend to use the same resources and things like that. So it turns out that there's a ton of VeriCoin in this one exchange, and MintPal made a big mistake in having the VeriCoin wallet, which had 8 million coins in it, on the network, accessible to a hacker, basically. They admitted that was the problem. That's what happened.
Okay, so Horace, I'm sorry, this is a great handle. Horace Facengod said it was an exchange. The exchange should have had to eat it, not forced a coin to roll back. To dovetail that, someone else had mentioned that they applaud what you. I mean, they don't know if you should have done what you did because it sets a bad precedent. So
Mm-hmm.
I understand why, but to put a finer point on it, what else could you have done? What else could have been done that would have salvaged what you've built? Even you say you're a young coin, that would have salvaged what people have built in terms of their time spent or even value spent with VeriCoin.
Yeah, I
Well,
mean, so go ahead.
one thing is for sure, we wouldn't have been able to block that person from potentially attacking the coin. If you hold 30% of the coin like this guy did, or just over 30%, it doesn't matter whether or not MintPal is able to raise enough money to pay the people back that lost the coins in their exchange. What matters is because it doesn't matter, because even if they do that and the price stays okay, this guy now owns 30% of the coin. He has to wait until just under 30% of the coin is staking, and then boom, he can attack the coin and make it so all of his transactions are he can send transactions and not have them get received by the recipient. So it doesn't. There's no way to do it other than what we did, or blocking the addresses that got the coins from being able to send them. But that would have taken too long, and the person could have sent them to a million other addresses without us being able to block them.
So how then, or if, how are you, as VeriCoiners, the core devs, how are you effectively able to block this or keep this from happening again? I mean, to allay concerns.
So we're a proof of stake coin. So the signing of the transactions is done by the network, the nodes in the network, and it's done by using the total number of coins in each node. So if someone, like Pat was saying, if someone owns a large share of the coin, they could potentially manipulate the security of the blockchain. In the case of Bitcoin, it's a mining coin. It's called proof of work. There's computational resources. People have these big server farms that crunch numbers, essentially, and that's how the transactions are approved. And so the same thing could happen with a proof of work coin, although in a different context, where one mining pool, which has happened, breaches 51% of the computational power, and then that mining pool could just manipulate the blockchain. So this is something that both proof of work, like Bitcoin, proof of stake, like VeriCoin, we have to monitor. Unfortunately, we ended up in a situation where MintPal had this huge amount of coin, and for a short period they had this huge amount of coin accessible to the network. So someone took advantage of that. But mining coins like Bitcoin have to do the same thing. They have to basically manage and make sure that the certain mining pools don't get too much computational power. In the same way, we have to monitor the exchanges and make sure there's not too much coin just sitting there for the taking, which it was. At the end of the day, people have been people have set up a game where every time I say at the end of the day, they take a drink. So everybody drink up.
Dude, I'm the same way with certain things. I see things over and over. I'm good.
Ultimately, the probability of this happening again is super low, and we're monitoring the exchanges to make sure that it doesn't. But now everyone's hyper aware of this, like they have been before with Bitcoin regarding pool having too much mining power. So it's already not possible. It's possible that we could get into a situation again, but we'll be monitoring for it. Very closely.
And I didn't want to, make the whole conversation about that particular flap, but I think over the past month that was probably the biggest. Not to say that it's the greatest news to come for VeriCoin, because I think you guys have you've done other things like update the wallet with the ability to send from the wallet too, like more easily. Or hang on.
Yes.
So Veribit.
Yeah. So Veribit makes it possible to spend VeriCoin from the wallet anywhere Bitcoin is accepted. So immediately we have, as a VeriCoin user, you have full access to the Bitcoin market, and it's as easy as using the Bitcoin wallet to spend at a Bitcoin location. So this is a very nice feature for usability. I mean, essentially overnight we had Bitcoin's market penetration. So yeah, a lot of people really like that, and ultimately we want people to use it as a currency.
So, I mean, that's not something I guess we would find in other altcoins.
We were the first one to do it in the wallet, and there's a second coin that's put it in the wallet. There's another coin that made a server for a similar service. Ultimately, Bitcoin has been working on their market penetration for years. So to try and directly compete with that is it's probably not a winning strategy.
Right.
So we basically took that approach and said, hey, let's utilize the Bitcoin market, and it also makes it easier for the Bitcoin community to work with us in a sense, because we're not directly competing with them. Our currency actually goes through their currency if need be. Yeah, we expect other coins to adopt it because in a way it's kind of a no-brainer if you want your currency to be used.
You guys have well, I don't know if it's still in beta. It may very well be the Android app now.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, and you can do the Bitcoin transactions in the Android app and all the regular functions of a wallet. Send and receive coin. The normal stuff. In addition to Veribit in the wallet. So Pat.
Pat, yeah, he's got it up. Hang on.
So we went to the Bitcoin Center to meet with them about scheduling the party. Pat bought a T-shirt, with paid for a Bitcoin T-shirt with Bitcoin from his VeriCoin wallet, right on the spot there.
Yeah, it just seems every day I cannot get through an average social feed without seeing something, whether it's related to Bitcoin or an altcoin in general. And it could be that's what I'm scanning through, but even in general news, you can now go to Google and you can search for the average price for a Bitcoin. Do you think Google would ever get to the point where it would accept that kind of the idea of mathematical relationships between not just Bitcoin, but Bitcoin and altcoins like VeriCoin?
Pat, you want to answer that one?
As in, do we think something is going to be equivalent to Bitcoin in Google's eyes?
Well, in the sense that, I mean, what I see, and what was it? There was another app that was updated on iOS recently. Coinbase. Was it Coinbase?
Yeah.
They had released an official app instead of having to use a third-party app, which seems to me a bit more secure. I mean, it seems that a lot of bigger entities are just inching their way towards not just accepting, but accommodating these types of, let's say, non-traditional forms of currency.
I think that's definitely true. I mean, the fact that Dell now accepts Bitcoin as payment for computers is just no one would have seen that coming a few years ago. But by the way, we're in the middle of working on our iOS app, so hopefully you can keep some VeriCoin on. I guess you have an iPhone, right?
Mm-hmm.
So shortly.
I got to take a step back. I got Android, iPhone, Windows Phone. I feel like a dealer here. I got what you need. Got over here. Got more stuff over here. I got what you need.
Well, we have a Windows Phone app coming out too.
Really? So
you can have it on all your devices.
Oh. Sorry, I wasn't slagging Windows Phone there.
I think if the rate of adoption is growing exponentially, basically, and I think once like Overstock.com is a big one, Expedia is a big one. If, for instance, Amazon were to accept Bitcoin, the whole thing would just blow wide open. So I mean, and we're I don't think we're that far from that size company beginning to accept it as a form of payment. And with that's going to come ultimately regulation, I suspect, in some way, because at the point where people can go from receiving Bitcoin to buying almost any good, the government's going to want to monitor things more closely.
Well, they kind of have. At least they've accepted it as having some form of inherent value.
Yes.
At least as far as a transaction is concerned, when it becomes taxable. I think that's telling or damning, however you want to label that in general.
Yeah, I think it definitely legitimizes it. Is the beginning of the government trying to figure out how to handle it.
So I mean, like I said, I'm not trying to drive anything. I'm filled with all these curiosities and things that I find fascinating. Has there been in the time since we've last talked? Has there been anything else that has been, I think, not just pivotal, but as you guys have moved forward with developing this ecosystem around VeriCoin, has there been anything of note that each one of you may have seen as like, this is the thing that I'm most excited about right now?
I'll go first real quick. I mean, the thing that I'm most excited about is that there's still, like, this is still the very, very beginning of digital currency. Like, we went to the Bitcoin conference, and me and Pat go to conferences often for our scientific research, and the Bitcoin conference was one of the smallest conferences we went to. Yet the North American Bitcoin conference is a significant event, and it was a solid event. There was great vendors, great people, great talks. It was a great event, but it also made it clear that this is still really ground floor, and we're like deep in, we're kind of obviously deep in digital currency, so we don't often see it like that, but it is like that. And for instance, the numbers aren't exactly clear, but there's not too much more than 1 million people that are actively using Bitcoin. It's estimated, and if that were to grow, a couple times, 5 times, 10 times, it still would be a small population of like America alone, and it would have huge effects on the entire digital currency economy. The supply-demand ratio would completely shift towards demand. The price, the value would skyrocket. All kinds of things would happen, and I think the most exciting thing that I think about is that we're in the beginning. This is the beginning, and we're going to hit an inflection point where the rate of adoption just blows up, and that's going to be really interesting, exciting, and could have really positive effects all over the world for making it easier for people to empower themselves. And I'm excited to be part of that before that happens.
No, it's a good thing. I didn't want to jump in, and I realized that I mean, I like David and everything, but he's kind of been monopolizing the conversation. And he's also in Seattle, so
I try.
You want to give your take on it, Dave?
Sure. I'm kind of excited about some of the interesting technological advances that have been made in relation to Bitcoin and blockchain in general. It started to be expanded on. I think one of the cool things is people are looking at not just how do we secure a currency, but how do we do useful work with the currency. So I mean, people have been looking into storage. So you have a distributed storage system, and you have a proof of files. That you actually store those files. And then there's like the Ethereum project, which is a generic way to use blockchains to do any kind of work you'd like. And I think those will have interesting implications in the future. Those are potentially another internet-like device where it seems very basic, just communicating to people using a blockchain, but it could have very interesting implications depending on what people do with it. Pat?
Yeah, well, about that, we are working on some blockchain 2.0 type of things. We haven't really gotten into announcing what they are because we don't want to, it's very early. We don't know exactly where it's going to go, but we're working on a lot of really cool stuff that could potentially, revolutionize VeriCoin even more, which we're not going to talk too much about tonight, but David's sort of very personally interested in the kind of stuff you can do on top of blockchains and inside the blockchain, all while still preserving the ability to transmit this currency. There's a lot of really interesting things that I guess I'll hint at one thing. Having sort of like custom username support is something we're really working very heavily on because it's a lot simpler.
Wait. Why is that? Why is having a custom username something that's a given to me, a given in any kind of ecosystem? Why is that a value?
Well, for example, if you've ever sent VeriCoin, you notice you have to send it to a 34-character capital V.
Pat, I'm going to interrupt you for a second, and I'm going to expose just how much of a neophyte I am. So I've got my wallet running on a computer, which I'm very grateful. Joel had actually repaired this computer, and they'd emailed me and they said, "Hey Chris, would you be interested in selling 240 of your VeriCoin, which at that point I think was worth $50 US." Which I'm like, okay, sure, yeah. I'm like, I haven't tried this yet. I'll give it a shot. So I thought I had copied and pasted the right hash. Like this. What was it? 1,000-character long, string of alphanumeric characters. I thought I copied the right one, and I said, okay, I sent it. And he's like, well, I haven't seen it yet. I'm like, oh, that's kind of odd. So then I go back and double check. I'm like, oh crap! So someone out there whose hash is I couldn't tell you what it is. I mean, I could, but someone apparently just received 240 random VeriCoin from me, and probably had no idea why this random gift showed up, but that's why I screwed up. I could have used. I will tell you this. I could have used a username in that case.
So the reason this is of value is because it's difficult to execute without hampering security. Because people fish for Facebook passwords, right? And you hear about it. Oh, my email or my Facebook account got hacked, and people spammed my friends. In this case, it would be people stole potentially tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars from me. So if someone has a simple username that they can associate with a VeriCoin account, by phishing your Facebook password, and then potentially find your IP address from another way, and then point their, if they have your address, because the digital currency transaction lists are public, so the security is different in a bank, in a centralized bank format. The transaction list is private, and the names are in there, or the social security numbers are associated with account numbers, but it's all private. In this case, it's kind of the inverse. The account numbers aren't identified with an individual, and everything's public. The fact that it's public makes it much more fair. There isn't some guy in some office that has a lot of control that says, oh, look at this social security number and this amount of money, and oh, what about my friend over here? Maybe I could do this or that, and essentially, exploit the system. In digital currency, that can't happen really. I mean, it's very difficult systemically for that to happen because everyone has the same information as everyone else. But if you combine a public transaction list with, usernames, then and people can just be like, oh, this guy has this much money, he spent it here, there. Then it becomes a major security problem. So it's not an easy task, and not just we wouldn't be doing just usernames. We would also be adding in a new, decentralized security system along with it, in the implementation.
Well, I'd assume. I mean, this is one of the reasons, and you're talking around it, but it's one of the reasons why when any kind of, I'm a big fan of 2FA or two-factor authentication. And I that's one of the things that was kind of to me it was kind of missing, and it's interesting that you're kind of talking around the idea of security and verification. It would seem that would be the future for stability, or at least security, in relation to my position in the blockchain, or what I have vested or invested in the blockchain, knowing that I feel comfortable enough that it would be very odd if someone were to have these points without having access to that other point. That two-factor authentication. They'd have to have access to this, and something that they're not likely ever going to have access to.
Yeah, that's essentially what it comes down to. It's just in a different format because it would have to be on the public transaction list in some way. So, so you'd have to implement it in the system. So it's not like something you can just kind of throw on top. It's because you could 2FA protect your wallet, which would make it much more difficult to control the wallet. But that doesn't stop someone from saying, oh, this username is used by this person, and this is the account that's associated with that username, and people could just monitor your spending habits, without having any 2FA password at all, and that's a privacy problem. It's not unfortunately it's not as simple as putting a 2FA password on the wallet. It's more systemic, but when implemented correctly, it would be great because you would have the ease of use, the familiarity of usernames, and the more fair public transaction list, and also preserving the security that's inherent in the decentralized system.
I'd like to point out that even if you have somebody's username, it's not like a username and password to a website. It's
right.
It's the equivalent of the public-facing address that people can send coins to. But like the public-facing address, if you only have the one associated with you, people can monitor it. So it's a privacy issue, not necessarily a security issue.
Right.
No, that's great, Dave. But you kind of been monopolizing the conversation again. So
I'm a man of many words.
I think there's the drinking game.
Dave's sentences are conceptually dense, though, so I think he's getting out of as much information.
The density, right. I think there's the drinking game. Anytime Dave speaks, everyone take a drink.
Well, let's turn this game on its head.
At the end of this, no, I mean it's like I said, it's still a fascinating world to me. Looking from the outside in, I can see, as Doug, as you're kind of speaking to, it sounds utopian in the sense of, we'll find our way outside of these existing models of value exchanges or currencies into a world where it's a bit more. Is egalitarian really the word I would want to use in terms of value that we place in these altcoins? Is that a fair term to use?
Yeah, I mean, I probably wouldn't. I think that's reasonably fair. I think maybe a simpler term would be. I think I might have said this on the last Hangout. Is democratization of finance, where and you could, I mean, you could look at this in the context of government, religion, where basically it's before technology, it's been more efficient to have a power hierarchy. You have a boss, you talk to your boss, he takes all the information from all the employees, talks to his boss, who talks to his boss, and then at the end of the day, you get to somebody at the top that makes the big decisions. And this is the way humans have been working, you know, since society began, because it's been the most efficient thing. Because you can't have one guy talking to thousands of people; it just would come up as noise, essentially. To that person, they would sound like noise to them. They wouldn't be able to make heads or tails of anything. They need filters, basically. So, but with technology, you can let essentially computers be the filters, and you can have a consensus formed autonomously through a network that automatically, essentially, takes action. In this case, it's a currency and transaction list. In a sense, the current currency is the best proof of principle one could do to test the security and the effectiveness of this decentralized social system. But you know, I would say it's in a way the democratization of money and finance.
I mean, we're coming up on an hour, 10 minutes shy or so. You know, like I said, I see things differently because I'm not a developer. I may wear a vest with 47 pockets in it, but that does not make me... No. I'll go one level deeper. I've got drywall anchors. I've got to repair some stuff in the other room.
Nice.
This evening. I gotta...
Some nice anchors.
Handy. What's
You're
that?
Preparing...
Those are some nice anchors.
Yes, they are. No, these things work well. I got them like super cheap at a local store. I'm like, these work so well.
Is that for the baby's room?
Yes, for the baby's room, indeed. with forthcoming VeriCoin Hangouts with a screaming baby in the background. We're building the future for the baby. I would never put, you know, the baby in an exchange of any kind that I would know of. I don't think you can do that. They're called daycare
Get a
centers.
good price.
Well, you never know. You never know. I mean, I'm not gonna rule anything out. No, I will. I'll rule that out. I'm not gonna exchange the baby. We're good with what we. I think we've been paid a very high compliment though. Moises Garcia, and I don't know if I said the first name correctly or not. There could be some other inflection point that I missed. But it says, "Y'all nerdy dumbasses." So I find that's very, to me, I like that. I'm like, oh great, cool. I'm when anybody puts nerd in a sentence, I already know that it's a compliment.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's I mean, these days nerds are the famous rich people.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like, hey, look, non-nerds aren't getting the cryptocurrency thing. I can tell you that much right now. Like, up until the point where you can go to Starbucks and say, I would like a tall frappuccino with a, you know, I'll pay by way of my cryptocurrency. That's not nerds. Nerds want to do that, but until it gets to that point, then.
Actually, that's a good point, because you want us to talk a little bit about our efforts to get VeriCoin to regular people.
Yes, I like the fact that you use regular people. I love that.
All right, so one, you know, just like you were saying at Starbucks, we're working on adding near-field communication support to the Android and eventually iPhone and Windows Phone 8 apps. So you know, there's already some payment point of sale systems where you can, you know, wave your phone and use Google Wallet. But what if, you know, someday you can wave your phone and use VeriCoin? We're really hoping for that to you know, help ease people transferring money without having to take pictures of QR codes and stuff.
Have you seen? They just released. I watch this news all the time. Pronto.ly. It's pronto.ly. Pronto.ly, and they're using basically ultrasonic signatures, and I don't want to say to emulate NFC, but to basically do what NFC does, but just using sound, which minimizes well, number one, maximizes its reach, because with these devices that have speakers and microphones, I mean, just about every smartphone out there does, even without having NFC hardware, it would work a lot like NFC in the sense that you'd have mobile-to-device secure communication using sound. That's like I said, I don't know anything about this, but I know that they just released. I mean, apart from knowing what it is or the general premise behind it, they just released an SDK using sound to basically do what NFC does for devices, but be a bit more sideways compatible or backwards compatible with
That
devices.
sounds awesome.
You're telling me that phones will soon sound like old modems?
Yeah.
But what's to prevent someone from recording the sound?
Now, Pat, you're asking the wrong guy.
Sorry, man.
Think, hey, but this is the thing. We need people like you thinking through those scenarios.
So,
I mean, it works the same way that your car unlocker works. It cycles through a preset set of keys.
Oh, right, like the garage door opener, a cycled code. Right.
So, I mean, even if you record them, they're not crazy useful.
Doug, do you want to talk a little bit about the Verleaders project?
Yeah. Want to talk a little? Yeah, I want to talk a little. Yeah.
I'll just quickly mention before we run out of time a new project we're working on, which is pretty cool and totally relates to bringing VeriCoin and digital currency to as many people as possible. And this is a project we call Verleaders, which is maybe a name you were looking for earlier, describing people who are into VeriCoin, but in this case, they're basically regional leaders. So we're going to communicate directly with regional leaders. They're going to communicate with us. They're going to be beta testing our new features and technologies in the field all across the world. We almost have. I mean, we have. I think it's about like 20 to 25 countries really spread all over the world right now. We have at least one Verleader in right now, and they're going to be beta testing our new technologies and features in the field, in the countries, trying to convert VeriCoin to a local currency in whatever way they can, and sending us feedback about all these things. And we're gonna build like consensus and talk with the community about features that we would implement in this context of what we're finding out from the Verleaders. They're also going to be communicating with people, having conversations like this about what digital currency is, why it may actually be more beneficial to them than the current system that they're using. There's likely less financial overhead. It's likely more fair, especially in countries where there might be more oppression of the people than in America. So we're going to be spreading the word and receiving information from all these different places, and trying to find the best way to navigate through all these complex problems that ultimately will lead to solutions for as many people as possible having voluntary access to a fairer money distribution platform.
Is money the right word to use?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think
it's. The reason why I say that, we have terms that we use, and they're usually interchangeable. Like, for example, I'm gonna do a little nerdy thing myself. Just this week, several dictionaries have come out and basically made the word literally. You could use it officially in a sarcastic or an informal sense. You could use the word literally when you mean to use the word figuratively. And so that's official. Like, right, we use the word, my head literally exploded when I read this news. No, it didn't literally explode. It figuratively exploded. But there's a dictionary term that it literally it can mean something that someone meant to say figuratively, but they're using it in a not so literal sense. So when we say money, I mean, different from currency, it's different from value, it's different from all these other terms that kind of get thrown about. And when cryptocurrency is a discussion point, I think people have a certain concept or a connotation of what money is and what it is not.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yeah, I think.
Chris,
Go ahead.
so what would you consider money? Would you consider something that you can use to spend anywhere that accepts like Visa or MasterCard or
Yes,
something money?
any kind of money is that this to me is that system of it's not the actual physical thing, it's the accepted value of something,
Okay,
whether it's
so
credit or like an actual physical bill or what have you.
perhaps I don't think anyone knows about this yet, but Moolah has a service that they're coming out with very soon. Moolah is an exchange.
Wait.
And
Are you going to violate an NDA, Pat?
No.
Okay, just didn't want to be the gateway of getting you in trouble. That's all.
Moolah is going to open up, I think this week or next week, a system called DigiPay, where you can use VeriCoin to buy anything online that accepts a credit card, and it basically you'll send VeriCoin to it, and it will generate you presumably a like a prepaid credit card, which then you can use at Amazon or wherever. So,
Really?
you know, surpassing Veribit's utility. Soon you'll be able to hopefully use VeriCoin to buy anything.
Wow. And speaking of, because I watch the comments as we do these live streams, the Horus Fasun God or the sun. I'm an idiot. Here's why I'm an idiot, and let me explain. Because it's not the Soon God. He didn't intercap sun, so it's the sun god. Horus, the sun god. So, okay, let me... It's not Ethan God. What the hell am I thinking? He was admiring my Star Wars collection. It's mostly Darth Vader at this point, but I used Amazon gift cards. And by and large, if it wasn't a gift from somebody, I use Amazon gift cards to exchange for these things that I love surrounding myself with. Amazon. In exchange of gift cards, which I earned through using sponsored applications in various platforms.
Mm-hmm.
Thesan God. God, I'm a moron. The Sun God. How did I not see that until now?
Tricky, man.
Well, I'm saying
Horus is an unusual name. It was probably just like, oh, the rest must be unusual too.
Well, but I'm guessing it was a Google Plus thing where here's your first name, last name, they didn't have a middle name kind of thing. The Sun God, Thesan God. That doesn't even make any sense. The Sun God makes sense. God.
Well, you're getting a crypto posse now because he's one of the guys who works at the exchange Cryptsy. So, congratulations.
So there's several exchanges then.
Lots of exchanges.
So are they going to fall victim to the same thing that MintPal did?
Not if they use cold wallets.
So yeah, that's the important thing.
Not if they do the right thing.
MintPal seriously screwed up by not keeping their coins in something called a cold wallet, which is a wallet that isn't connected to the internet. And normally, exchanges keep 95+% of their coins in a cold wallet. I think Coinbase keeps around 99%. And that means if something gets hacked, they can lose a maximum of 1% of all their coins. MintPal didn't do that with VeriCoin. They actually tried to steal and I think successfully stole a little bit of Bitcoin and Litecoin, but those were in cold storage. They didn't steal much. VeriCoin, on the other hand, was not, and they stole like all of it. So
it was an oversight in their policy, basically, for that short period of time.
I was saying, have they patched it? Has that been addressed?
Yes. Yeah, they did. They did patch the security hole that allowed the hacker in, and they obviously are doing things more conservatively as well.
I was gonna say, I'm glad you guys could, be the sacrificial lamb for this shortcoming here. Really, it's like we're MintPal PR. MintPal, they screwed up. It's okay. It's all good.
It could have been worse. I mean, people could have. Someone could have just faded into black. The developer team of a coin could have just walked into darkness and never returned.
I actually, Doug, I realize we're pushing into an hour here, but I'm very interested in knowing, because as I said in the first hangout that we did, this is not, if I had a bailiwick, alt currency would not be it. So, or coin, Bitcoin, etc. I'm learning as I kind of go along. What is the average lifespan of an altcoin, and how would VeriCoin and what you decided to do with this oversight from MintPal, how would others have buckled? And I think I saw this kind of being discussed in the comments, but you do differently than other people did. What's the average lifespan or the possibility of a coin surviving past that point of not just no return, but what's the delta between a coin making it versus not making it? And where's VeriCoin if you're at one point or another or have crossed that delta of getting past that point of no return, but
I know exactly what you're saying.
Okay,
Honestly, I think this is one of the biggest defining things for VeriCoin is that we clearly are not going to buckle under some pressure, which is, I don't have the exact numbers for you on your question, but it's not the norm, definitely.
So not the norm in the sense that VeriCoin's been around for a couple months. What's the average lifespan of a coin?
I mean, there's
a lot of coins collapse in the first couple weeks.
Okay, thank you.
Most of them never even, or a lot of coins will basically hit an exchange. The original miners will dump everything, and it collapses as soon as it hits the first exchange.
So pump and dump. This is where.
Well, it's not even a pump and dump because it's literally the first time it hits an exchange. Like, it hasn't even had a chance to be pumped. They just sell everything.
Yeah, there's been more coins that came into existence and went out of existence. Something, I think it's a lot in the order of like 90 to 95%.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, I'm astounded, but also, I mean, again, I feel like I'm a PR person here. I mean, that really speaks to your character. The fact that you pulled through what could have been catastrophic in terms of the value of what VeriCoin was, because you believed in it enough not just to put your faces, your names, your reputations on the line, but to see it through past the point where it seems, from what you're explaining to me, most other altcoins would have walked. They'd have been done.
Yeah, I mean, I have a personal philosophy on this. I think that most people are capable of many great things, and everybody has their own skills and talents, and people can really do amazing things. I would say something on the order, again, of like 90 to 95% of the time, people give up before they accomplish their dreams. And the people that, and you can think of it this way, the people that do accomplish what they want, for sure didn't give up. So if you do give up, you're for sure not going to accomplish your dreams. So it's a prerequisite.
So, not trying to make this a MintPal. I mean, I don't think it was dominated. I think we've kind of come in and out of a variety of topics. But I know this was a hot topic. I mean, it had to have been a hot topic, if only because of the state of cryptocurrency where it is in the general flow of altcoins. There was someone had asked. I'm sorry, Jackie Talk asked, and I apologize for slaughtering usernames. Has MintPal offered any compensation for this failure? And I think that's a good question. Had they offered anything?
MintPal did cover all the losses that were incurred due to our rollback. So basically, if there's anything weird that happened due to the rollback in the 18-hour time span that we rolled the blockchain back to the point before the hack, they basically covered all those losses, which ended up just being people moving coin on an exchange during that period. Essentially, is what happened. If you had your coins in the VeriCoin wallet, you were completely unaffected by this. This had essentially no effect on you at all. But if you moved your coins into an exchange in that period or around on between exchanges, you could have potentially been in a situation where you lost your coins. They went somewhere. Then it got rolled back to the point before you made that move. So there was some minor discrepancies that MintPal covered.
So I wish you would have done. I wish the hack would have happened. I can't believe I'm saying this. I wish the hack would have happened when I made my own typo. Because I making the typo and sending it to God knows where. I don't know where the hell it went. Someone's happy. Someone's like, yes, I'm retiring to Barbados. Thank you, whoever this hash is. I'm using hackertyper.com. David he keyed in that URL earlier. I love that site. It's the best site ever. I love that. Have you guys ever used this hackertyper.com?
No, I haven't.
Oh God, you got to do it. You got to do it. Hang on. I almost want to screen share my hackertyper.
At the start of the conversation, you were talking about the being a hacker, so I typed that one in.
TVs and movies, you see someone, and then all this code appears on screen, like, oh, something important's happening. Someone is getting hacked. This is what it looks like, and it's never that way, I'm sure.
But actually,
anyway.
Back to your question, has MintPal done anything? They actually did something a couple days ago that we didn't expect necessarily. They made a donation to the VeriFund, which is sort of our like fundraising arm that we help to sponsor new things, and we actually put the money they donated aside specifically to make a decentralized exchange, something that sort of goes. So essentially, it's an exchange that works without a central point of failure. So instead of keeping all your coins on someone's exchange like MintPal, you keep your coins in your own wallet, and you send it to basically a new address. And you basically, instead of trading the coins, you trade the private keys, and they can pull the coins out that way. So basically the coins are never at a place that isn't you or the person that buys the coins from you. And that's something we're in the middle of. Right, so basically it's an escrow system, and it allows for smart contracting, which means you and I can make a contract and that's enforced only by the code. There doesn't need to be a central person that does it. And that really keeps things safe because there's no one place a hacker can go and say, okay, I want to steal all this coin sitting here. But sort of ironically, I guess, it goes against, it would hurt the business of MintPal. But anyway, they gave us this donation that we're allowed to do what we want with, and we're using it to fund the iOS development and this. And actually, one thing that I don't think either the other developers even know about yet, but starting today, I believe there's an Android game on the Android the Google Play Store. I'm not sure of the name, but someone approached us at the party on Monday and asked us if we would like a VeriCoin game made, and it's really cool. It's essentially Flappy Bird, and when you get past 50 levels, you get granted 10 VeriCoin. So when we figure out, when I get the name of that, I'll definitely share it. But I think it's pretty cool. I don't know of very many cryptocurrencies with a game.
That's impressive. Now I do want to, and we should probably be winding down, if only because I know it's a live stream, and I'm always very conscious of rewatchability when we have these live discussions. Michael Peterson noted that when VeriCoin gets some truly decentralized features, and that's kind of nebulous, the word features, then it'll be accepted by the majority of the altcoin crowd. And I want Patrick, if you want to address this, or Dave, or Doug, if any one of you want to address this, that'd be great. Is the VRC team still going to appear on the Kaiser report?
Yeah, I think so, but actually we spoke to someone from there when we were in Chicago, but we've been so busy. Actually, people have been trying to hack our supernodes, which are the like sort of primary connection points for people with wallets, and they're not necessary, but they help the network stay well distributed because they can handle a lot of connections. And those have actually been attacked like 3 or 4 times now, and which causes some clients to desync from the network. So I've been pretty busy just trying to resolve that issue. Yes, I guess the answer is I think we will be on the Kaiser report, but I don't know when yet. So
I probably won't be.
Dave.
Yeah.
If only because you talk so much. I don't know if anybody else would get a word in edgewise. Yeah, great answer. That's a perfect response. Look at that. That's great. Okay, so then when Michael, sorry, when Michael had referred to having more quote unquote truly decentralized features, what would he have been referring to?
So I've developed a couple features, like Veribit. Veribit is controlled on is a centralized. It's the equivalent of a third-party service that just happened to be developed by one of the people working on VeriCoin. Um, it's it is not truly decentralized because I control the escrow pool and the trading algorithm and stuff. Well, I mean technically all three of us do, but you know what I mean. That feature is not truly decentralized. Um, and some of the other stuff we've worked on, like technically like the Android wallet, that is a third-party feature that's not fully decentralized. But we in order to have enough features, some of it needs to at least start out centralized, and we're working on improving the features that are actually part of the coin, part of the blockchain. But those require everyone to upgrade to new wallets. Those require a fork. Like those are much harder and more challenge. Like those are much worse to try to do and screw up than these offshoot features that you can just kind of spin up and if people like them, improve or kill off.
Yeah. Yeah. So we've been essentially trying to add features that improve accessibility and usability, and we obviously prize decentralization, and if it's the most parsimonious thing to do for a feature, then we will move it in the decentralized direction. But in some cases, it's just like a third-party feature, like David said. For instance, if we made Veribit decentralized, it would be so slow probably that no one would use it. So then it wouldn't be a usable service. So the core of the coin is decentralized. The username thing would have to be decentralized. Anything that really relates to security for the user has to be decentralized. But some services and features that make accessibility and usability better. At this point in the game, it doesn't make sense to decentralize them to some extent.
I think that's a cogent point to make. I think it's probably a fair time to wind down. I don't know if you guys, if anybody, and I think Patrick, you've had a few gems in here as well. You had anything else you'd want to cover before we kind of close out? I mean, this would be the time to do it.
Well, I guess I'll quickly just talk about our VeriCoin party. We had a really cool event on Monday at the Bitcoin Center, which is a giant room essentially in the heart of the financial district of New York. So this is a place that's literally less than a block from the New York Stock Exchange. And at this party we had a live band. We ordered 30 pizzas, which actually is a lot of pizza. I didn't realize how much it would be, but and beer, and we gave out 100 T-shirts and 150 paper wallets, which are wallets filled with VeriCoin that you can load to your computer. And basically just we're able to meet with the community. And as far as I know, this is the first time developers of a coin have sort of run something where anyone who owns the coin can meet them. And that's sort of our going along our guidelines and goals of being transparent and accessible, because there's a lot of people, especially in the last month, who have been scammed by new coins. These are coins with developers who appear, the coin gets mined and listed on an exchange, and then they quickly sell off their coin and just stop answering. No one knows their name, etc. And we're trying to change that and create a coin where that's not a possibility. And our party we had hundreds of guests. The turnout was great. It was really cool meeting all these people, and it's just a small part of us trying to be out in the open and help the public know about VeriCoin. There are actually people off the street who never had heard about cryptocurrency, who came to the party because the Bitcoin Center was handing out flyers that said free pizza and beer. And we actually were able to introduce tens, maybe 50 people who had never even heard of Bitcoin or VeriCoin before to the world of crypto, and they stayed for the music and they stayed for our presentation, and it was just really great getting people that didn't know what was going on in our crypto world involved and interested.
Wild.
Yep. So anything either of you guys want to say?
I spoke a lot. I think I said all I need to say.
Everyone take a drink. Oh. And I'm assuming.
Well, thanks for having us, Chris.
Nothing, but yeah.
Yeah, Dave likes to mute his mic for some reason.
Yeah.
I don't want to be
By the
doing
way, Dave just bought a brand new house. Well, not new, but he bought a house in Seattle. So you guys should go hang out and play Xbox together or something.
Huzzah!
So I'm using my fair share of, screw anchors and all that fun stuff too.
Oh God. Yeah, don't get me going on the whole. I mean, I love these. I love this. Seriously, this thing's got 47 pockets in it. No, I'm not, Doug. I'm not kidding.
Is that the Scott E vest or
Scotty
something?
vest. Yeah. It's a Scotty vest. Oh, I'm going to
nice.
start calling it the Dad E vest because it's like I'm going to be able to carry everything in here. But I just have to remember it's there because
It's nicer than a fanny pack.
No, see, fanny pack's too old school. Like, I do not want to come down on the wrong side of this. This is too sharp.
Does it have a baby pouch?
It doesn't have a baby pouch per se, but I can get a water bottle over here. It's got a little loop that I can hold the water. I can put the water bottle in and stick it. This pocket here goes all the way up to my neck. Like, you can get a full-on water bottle over on this. Is like geeking out here. So.
You mean a big bottle of whiskey?
Yeah, well, now I'm gonna have a baby, and maybe when they're teething, I understand that may help the process of the teething.
I think the bottle was for you.
Oh, well, yes, Daddy could do that as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and start winding down. Let everybody do their own devices. I think we've covered a fair amount of territory tonight, and I appreciate the clarification on specifically what had happened over this month, as well as to kind of get a sneak peek of what you guys are working on without revealing too much, as well as in the general world of crypto. And I appreciate everybody hanging out, tuning in, asking questions, interacting. This discussion, I learned something, and I always feel like if I sit down and listen and apply, my thinking, cognitive processes, I can learn something. So I appreciate you guys sharing your knowledge with the rest of the community.
Sure, and happy birthday. I sent you some VeriCoin during the show.
Thank you. Yes, I'm now older.
And our thoughts are with you guys having the baby soon. It's great news.
Oh God.
I have a 3.5-year-old son, and it's a life-changing event. It's an amazing experience. It's obviously tough too, but it's gonna be great.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. I learned that they poop. This is
you learn that time and time again.
Oh God.
It's true. At the end of the day, they poop.
Poop, pee, barf, everything. Like, it's just I can barely control myself. Now I gotta figure out what to do with someone else's bodily fluids.
You'll get hands-on experience, literally.
Yeah, I do not want to be hands-on with anybody. Just let me be the first to say this. I'm gonna put it out there. No, I didn't even like when popsicles hit my hands when I was a kid. I'm not a fan of fluids in general. Like, they're better kept in other vessels, not mine. So let me go ahead and close it. I think it's a great way to kind of close things out. So thanks everybody.
Thank you, Chris.
And the Google is stopping ish. It's maybe not.